I wasn't looking for anyone. I had my routines, my peace, and my space. But sometimes, something small, like a quiet dog with tired eyes, can change how you see the world. My name is Elise, and this is the story of how I stayed strong and still left room for something unexpected. I've lived in the same apartment for 6 years. 2 plants by the window, a coffee pot that starts at 6:30. I work at a bookstore downtown. On Tuesdays, I restock the poetry shelf. On Thursdays, I go to the market. It's not lonely. It's quiet. My friends say I'm calm, grounded, the kind of person who always knows where her keys are. And they're not wrong. I like my life. I built it carefully, like a bookshelf I knew would need to hold a lot. I've loved before. Not stories with screaming fights or broken trust, just quiet endings. 2 people growing in different directions. One left to travel, one changed careers and found someone who fit better. I cried a little. Then I made tea. I kept the good memories and let the rest go like pages I'd already read. Sometimes people ask if I ever get tired of being alone. I don't. I just get tired of pretending that being alone means something is missing. Still, every now and then, when I see an older couple walking in the park, hands brushing, not holding, or when I watch a stranger laugh like someone else is the only person in the room, I wonder, not with regret, just a question I keep in a quiet corner of my mind. What if I did meet someone? Not someone to rescue me, not someone to fix anything, just someone who walks beside me with their own steady rhythm. Someone who fits into the silence without asking me to fill it. It was a Tuesday. Normally, I work the afternoon shift, but that week, my coworker had a cold, so I covered her morning. The shop was quiet. Rain tapped the glass, and a woman came in looking for a book about grief. She told me her dog had just passed. She held the leash in her hand like it still had weight. I didn't know what to say, so I handed her a small poetry collection and offered her a tissue from behind the counter. She smiled through it. "He was my routine," she said. "Now, I don't know what to do with my mornings." After she left, I made tea in the back room. And I thought about how much space one small life can take up, even when it's quiet. That evening, I looked up local shelters. I told myself I was just looking, but by the end of the night, I had bookmarked a profile. Oliver. Mixed breed. Medium energy, good with people. Shy at first, but very loyal. Something about the way he looked into the camera, head tilted like he was also just looking, made me pause. I closed the tab, not because I didn't want to go, but because going meant change. even a small one. And change doesn't always knock. Sometimes it whispers. The next morning, the rain stopped. The street outside my window glistened. Not dramatic, just washed and quiet. A woman walked past with a paper bag and a smile. 2 kids rode bikes in the puddles, splashing like they didn't care who saw them. The world had shifted. Not much, just enough to make me wonder what might happen if I let something new in. So, I made tea, and I called the shelter. The building was older than I expected. Painted cinder block walls, a metal door with a buzzer. Inside, it smelled like sanitizer and wet fur. A volunteer handed me a clipboard, asked if I'd ever owned a dog before. I said no, but I'd always liked them. I followed her through the kennels. Some dogs barked, some pressed against the bars, eager. Oliver didn't. He sat in the back of his space, not hiding, just waiting. His eyes were soft, not sad, not scared, just tired. Like someone who had been loved once and wasn't sure if it would happen again. I crouched down. "Hi," I said, feeling ridiculous for talking to a dog like that. But he looked up. Not a bark, not a whine, just a slow walk forward and one small paw against the wire. It wasn't dramatic, just quiet trust. And I felt something shift in me. I wasn't sure if I was rescuing him or if he was rescuing me. I stayed there for a while, just sitting near Oliver, watching the way his eyes followed movement. Curious, but not urgent. In the next kennel over, a man was gently brushing a bigger dog. He had kind eyes, a quiet way of moving. He looked up and nodded, just once. No smile, but it felt like a full sentence. I stood up and thanked the volunteer. Said I needed to think about it. She said, "Take your time." As I walked out, I glanced back. Oliver was still sitting, but this time, he was at the front of the kennel, watching me, not pleading, just present. Like maybe, just maybe, he hoped I'd come back. That night, I dreamed I was walking through the bookstore. The lights were off, but the poetry shelf was glowing, like soft light through old paper. I turned the corner, and there he was, Oliver, sitting in the aisle, head tilted, tail thumping once. But in the dream, he wasn't behind glass. He was beside me. I knelt down. "Are you waiting for me?" He didn't bark. He just nudged my arm and rested his head on my knee. I woke up with that feeling still in my chest. Not urgency, not doubt, just something simple and warm. I made tea. And I called the shelter. The next day, I went back to the shelter. The same volunteer met me at the desk. She smiled when she saw the adoption form in my hand.
"He'll be so happy," she said.
He's been waiting. She led me to the back. Oliver was lying down but stood the moment he saw me. His tail wagged once, slow, then faster. I knelt at the kennel door. "Hey," I whispered. "I came back." He pressed his nose against the gate. The volunteer unlocked it gently. "Leah's gonna miss him," she said as she handed me the leash. I looked up. "Leo?" She nodded towards the back room. "He's been brushing Oliver every week," said it helped him think. I glanced toward the hallway, but no one was there. I didn't ask more. I just wrapped my fingers around the leash, and together, Oliver and I stepped into the sunlight. Before I left, I asked the volunteer if she could pass along a message. She handed me a notepad. I paused for a moment, then wrote, "Leo, thank you for brushing him, for being kind. Oliver is with me now. He's safe, and he's already very loved. If you ever want to visit, here's my number. No pressure. Elise." I folded the paper once. Not neatly, just honestly, and I handed it to the volunteer. "I think he'll appreciate that," she said. I nodded. Then Oliver and I walked out together into the soft light of a new afternoon. The first few days, we moved around each other carefully. I kept Oliver's bowl near the window. He chose the old rug by the bookshelf. Every night, I brushed him, not because he needed it, but because I could tell he liked it. He would sit still, eyes half closed, tail sweeping the floor like a soft yes. I found a rhythm in it. Long strokes, quiet room, the soft sound of bristles pulling through fur. One evening, as the sun dipped low, I brushed behind his ears and thought about the note I had left. I wonder if he read it. Not with urgency, just curiosity. I didn't expect anything.
But the idea of someone else out there brushing the same dog, feeling the same calm, it made the moment feel bigger, like maybe we were part of the same quiet story, even if we never turned the page together. Saturday morning, I had the day off. The light was soft through the kitchen window, and Oliver was already waiting by the door. We walked to the park. Not the closest one, but the one with the quiet trails. He trotted beside me like he'd done it 100 times. No pulling, no hesitation, just trust. A woman jogging by smiled at us. "He's got a good stride," she said. I smiled back. "Yeah, he's learning." We found a bench under a tree. I pulled out a paperback. Oliver curled at my feet, head resting on my boot. For the first time in a long time, the quiet didn't feel like something I had to manage. It felt full, not of thoughts, just of being. I closed the book, leaned back, and let the breeze touch my face. I wasn't searching. I wasn't waiting. I was here. And that was enough. A few days later, we walked to the corner cafe. I'd passed it 100 times, but never stopped. Today felt different. The patio was half full. A few students hunched over laptops, a couple laughing over coffee. I tied Oliver's leash to the table and ordered tea. When I came back out, he was sitting perfectly still, tail gently wagging as a little girl leaned close to say hello. Her mother smiled at me. "He's very patient," she said. I nodded. "He's good company." I sat down and unwrapped a scone, broke off a corner. Oliver waited, didn't beg, just looked at me, like he already knew I'd share. And I did. We stayed there a while. The city moved around us. But in that moment, with warm tea in my hands and sunlight on the table, I felt still, whole. Not finished, but okay. That evening, as I washed the dishes, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I hesitated. Oliver looked up from his spot by the door. I dried my hands and answered. "Hello?" A pause. Then, "Hi, this is Leo from the shelter." His voice was gentle, a little unsure. I got your note. I just wanted to say thank you." I smiled without meaning to. "He's doing well. He's settling in." Another pause. "I'm glad. Really, that means a lot." Neither of us rushed to hang up. We didn't make plans. We didn't make promises. But when I set the phone down, the air felt a little warmer. That night, I dreamed again. I was sitting on the porch, a book in my lap, Oliver at my feet. A car pulled up. I didn't see who got out, but I stood, walked to the door, and opened it.
If you enjoyed this lesson, click here for another learning video.